So the teres minor proximal attachment is on the inferior and vertebral border of the scapula and goes up to the bicipital groove. So it goes like that. And the manual muscle test is you put the hand back here and you push down into extension like that. So you're gonna hold that for 5 seconds, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, the infraspinatus is in the proximal attachment is the infraspinatus fossa, and it just goes to the greater tubercle of the humerus. And the manual muscle test for that is you put your arm out at the elbow at 90 degrees and you push down. So hold that for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, the latissimus dorsi inserts on the thoracolumbar fascia T7 through L5 vertebrae and the iliac crest and the bicipital groove. It's more palpable down here. So the test is on the opposite side, facing me, and then you're going to push down now like that. So you're going to resist that for 5 seconds, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, it's been rolling.
Okay, so for pec major, there's 2 posterior attachments. The upper is the medial 1/2 of the clavicle, and the lower is the sternum and upper 6 ribs. And then for the distal attachment, it's the lateral bicipital groove right in here, and it's not palpable because it's too deep. And the action is adduction, hyperadduction, internal rotation, and then for the upper it is flexion, and for the lower it's extension from the flex position. So for the manual muscle test, can you lay down? And for the lower manual muscle test, you're gonna have the patient have their palm facing you and stabilize the opposite shoulder. And can you hold for 5 seconds? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax. And then for lower, their palm is gonna be facing down, and I'm gonna push diagonally. Can you hold for 5 seconds? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax.
Oh, all right, go.
Okay, so for the coracobrachialis, the proximal attachment is the coracoid process, and the distal attachment is the middle 1/3 of the humeral shaft. And the action is flexion and adduction. So for the manual muscle test, it's the Italian eagle. So you're gonna go like this, and you have slight internal rotation, and then you're gonna hold for 5 seconds. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax.
Anterior, which is the muscle belly right here, and the distal attachment is on the ribs 8 and 9, so you can palpate it right up here. And the proximal attachment is on the medial border of the scapula, around here. To test, on the subject, raise her scapula up and bring her fist to the ceiling. And I'm going to apply force downwards for 5 seconds, and she's going to hold this position. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interior, which is the muscle belly right here, and the distal attachment is on the ribs 8 and 9, so you can palpate it right up here. And the proximal attachment is on the medial border of the scapula, around here. To test, on the subject, raise her scapula up and bring her fist to the ceiling. And I'm going to apply force downwards for 5 seconds, and she's going to hold this position. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go.
Now we're testing the teres minor, and that's the muscle belly right here on the scapula. And the distal attachment is the upper axillary border of the scapula, so right here. The proximal attachment is the greater tubercle, which is right here. And then the test muscle, I'll have the hand out, externally rotate, and I'll apply pressure downwards while she holds position for 5 seconds. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm testing the supraspinatus muscle up here, and the proximal attachment is part of the supraspinatus fossa, just on the inside of the scapula. Here, it's this whole area, and then distal attachment is the greater tubercle, so it's like come around the front here. Oh, and the proximal attachment is on the anterior side of the scapula, which is that entire fossa. And the distal attachment is the greater tubercle, which is right here. I wasn't asking. And then the action is adduction stabilization. So the hand out, and then I'll stabilize the opposite side and push down for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. upper traps, the middle traps, and the lower traps. And so for the upper traps, proximal attachment, that is the external occipital protuberance, which is that knot right here in the back of your head. She's got a pretty defined one, so you feel that. And then it's the ligamentum nuchae, which is right here. And that's the proximal attachment for that. And the distal attachment for this is the lateral clavicle and acromion. So you see it's on this side. That's the lateral side, and then the acromion is this part right here. And test for the upper traps is you raise your shoulder to your head. I'm sorry. Yep, there you go. There's the shoulder. And then I'll be separating them, so I don't want to tear your hair. And then, so 5 seconds, hold this position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And then for the upper attachments of the middle trap, that is the C7 through T12 vertebrae. So that's going to be about right here, these two. And then the distal attachment for these is the scapular spine. So that's going to be along the outside of both scapulas right here. And then, oh, I'm sorry, that's the spine, so it's on top, so it's going to be this part right here. And then that's the middle trap. So to test this one, I'm going to have you lay on your belly. Okay, have you bring your arm out. And I'm going to be pushing down to test the middle trap. So I'll just hold this position for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then the upper attachment for the lower traps is the same as the C7 and T12 vertebrae. And if you want to sit up for me, and then come to this side and bring your head over here and bring your shoulders up to the table. And then the lower attachment for that is the scapular spine root for the lower traps. So the root of it is the very base of the spine where it starts. So it's right here. That's the root of each spine. And I'll have her bring her hand up. And then just going to press down on the table. And then I'll apply pressure downwards for 5 seconds while she holds this position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The subscapularis muscle is found, it originates in the subscapular fossa, and then it inserts into the lesser tubercle. Yeah, pull that shoulder out. Thank you. Inserts into the lesser tubercle, and its actions are internal rotation, and it stabilizes the shoulder. And then for the manual muscle test, you're going to lay on your stomach. And then you're going to put your arm out like, is that really like, you can't bring it up more? Okay. And then you're going to, you're going to take it from here, you're going to stabilize, and then you're going to resist. So, all right, ready? Here, hold it for 5 seconds. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, very good. For the biceps, the short head inserts on the coracoid process, and then the long head inserts at the supraglenoid tubercle, which is like in here, so you can like feel it. And then the whole muscle, the muscle belly comes down through here, and then can you flex for me real quick? You come down the tendon and it inserts at the radial head, or the radial tuberosity, the tubercle. And then it assists, or the action is flexion. And then for the manual muscle test, they're gonna put their hands out. You're gonna stabilize, and then you're gonna hold this for 5 seconds. All right, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The pectoralis minor, the proximal attachment is on the coracoid process, and the distal attachment is on the outer ribs 4 through 3. You should bring your arm out to be like in here. And then the actions are it stabilizes and depresses the ribs. And then for the manual muscle test, can you lie on your back for me? Good. All right. And then can you lift up your shoulders? Bring up your shoulders like up like that. Yeah. Put your arms down. And then you're gonna hold this hold for 5 seconds. All right, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. My line. All right. So for the deltoid, there's 3 sections: the anterior, middle, and then posterior. The anterior part originates on the lateral third of the clavicle, and then inserts on the deltoid tuberosity, and then the middle section originates on the acromion, and then inserts on the deltoid tuberosity, and then the posterior originates. Can you come around? From the spine of the scapula, and then again it comes down and then onto the deltoid tuberosity, and then so the manual muscle test for the anterior deltoid is, so you're gonna stabilize, then you're gonna hold for 5, and then ready, go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then for the middle deltoid, you're gonna come out, and then you're just gonna bring it out a little bit more, and then hold for 5, and ready, go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for the posterior, you're gonna come back like this, around, and then you're just gonna hold this for 5 seconds. All right, ready, go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.